Hello everybody and welcome back to Nerdy Miniatures, and in today's video we have something special. We are finally doing a face reveal in honour of our channel's 1 year anniversary, and we're doing a competition for you guys. So if you want to see our results and how we did it, then just keep on watching.
And here we are, Mr. Mrs.
Hello.
Nerd, as we're going to be doing something different today. This is our anniversary video. We've been doing our channel for a year now, which is pretty epic. Got nearly 600 subscribers, pretty cool.
It's very cool.
At least one viewer, which is also cool, and it's not just me viewing your videos.
Yep.
And yeah, we're absolutely loving it. So what are we doing in this video?
So for this video we're actually doing a competition. Let's just say there are no stakes for this. We just had the exact same model, which is the Maggot kin of Maggot, Lord of Blights. When I edit this footage, I will make sure I put a nice big photo of him up there so you guys can see that.
Around here somewhere.
Somewhere around there.
Right here.
Over your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you guys know exactly what we've done. What we've done is we've taken the exact same model, but we've interpreted it in our own way. We've painted it in our own style. So one of us, say, could follow a guide. One of us has gone on top of their head, just to kind of see how we can paint the exact same model, but in different styles.
Yeah. So we'll be essentially evaluating each of the models, and at the first half of the video, the second half of the video, we then go into the tutorial, how we painted the models.
Yep.
So we'll be going to two different styles. That's two different styles.
But we'd also like to state that we haven't seen each other's models yet. This is the first time we've seen them live on the video. So we have no clue what the other has done. All we know is we start with the exact same figure. The outcome is a mystery.
Exactly. So we go through one model at a time.
Yep.
But first, before we start with the model, let's talk about what is the Lord of Blights.
So, a Lord of Blights is a brutish figure who creates and destroys in equal measure. Swollen with muscle, he lumbers into the midst of foes, swinging his bubonic hammer in thunderous arcs. Every impact shatters bones and ruptures organs, leaving his victims lying like bruised and rotten fruit on the ground. Yet, this brutality has a purpose beyond simple murder. The Lord of Blights cultivates fine crops of death heads that he hands to his warriors, enabling them to fling volleys of disease projectiles. The Lord of Blights keeps the finest specimens for himself, hanging them from his back piece.
So, just before we start reviewing these models, if you hear any weird noises, any coos, any weird sheep noises, don't know why I'd make sheep noises, it's not us.
He does make some interesting noises.
It does. The baby's just down there.
Yeah, baby Nurgling is being fed currently.
He's 1 month old. He's very talkative. By talkative, he makes random noises, just like a Nurgling.
Yeah, that's why he's baby Nurgling.
So we're going to go through your model first, because I think it's fair.
Yep.
So your model is under this one first. So we'll go through what I like about it, what I don't like about it, any positives. You'll then talk about what you'd change in the future.
Yep.
While we're talking through this, we'll just have an image of it on the screen. Yeah. So, here we go. Here he is. So, there'll be an image of us on the screen. And initial thoughts, he's quite grotesque, very grey. He's very...
That's what I wanted.
Very anemic. And I absolutely love... We had to see it once again on screen. I love these little balls on the shield. They're really vibrant, really cool.
Using some moot green for that one. Any kind of Nurgle based thing, I almost always incorporate moot green. I had to put it in somewhere.
I like the wood, so I treated the shield, you'll see in a minute, but I treated the shield very differently. But I like the mix between the gold and the wood, or the brass and the wood. Very nice.
Yeah, so for that, I did that and I dry brushed it with black to kind of take away a lot of that
shininess.
Brightness. Yeah.
I like the little highlights you've done on the edge of the
hammer.
The doom hammer. And his little bell. His bell at the very bottom of him is very brass-like. It's been tarnished.
Yes.
Which is very cool. And
I actually put effort into the base this time too.
He did, yes. It's got a little tail, which I like his little tail.
He does have a little tail.
So pros and cons. So what do I like about this? Looking at this, made a good effort with the highlighting throughout. The little spike on his shoulder looks like it's actually kind of worn iron with used iron on the edges. The highlighting on some parts of this is really cool. No, I like the highlighting. I like what you've done with this. I like the I like the changes with the shield. The color. I like the color combination on the shield. Very cool.
So for this, it was entirely. Oh, just throw him. You don't like him that much. For this, it was entirely just from my noggin. I've been doing a lot of Nurgle / Maggotkin based stuff recently. So I've been trialing different techniques from doing the Dark Water set. So as a result, I had an idea in my head as to how I wanted this guy to look, and I just rolled with it and went along that route.
Ah, seeing you a spitball in it, it's very good. I quite like it. The base is basic, but you don't normally do your bases, so I put a lot of effort into bases. I think the base tells half the story of the model, so I always put the same amount of time and effort into the base as I do the model, which you will see in a minute. But I like it. It's cool. It's a cool model. The only thing I would have changed, I think his skin needs a little bit more oomph.
Yep.
Since he's a rather chunky lad. The skin on the back, the details on the back is really good. But on his, I hate to say it, but on his man boobs and on his chest
On his
and
boobs.
arms, it's just a bit lacking. But other than that, I really like this. Yeah. So the idea of this is obviously we want to improve as painters. My goal would be to get Golden Demon one day. Probably not going to happen, but that's my goal.
Eventually.
We can all have dreams. So I like it. I like it a lot. What would you do differently next time?
So I am happy with the undertone of the skin, because whenever I've done Nurgle, obviously the idea of kind of any Death Guard or Nurgle, I want them to look a little bit undead. I don't want them to look that well. I probably would go in, like you said, with a lot more of my shade paints, a lot more of the purples and the pinks, just to really add some depth to that skin and add some almost like a soreness to it, make it look a little bit more defined like I did on the back. So just kind of bring that out a bit more. I'd also probably highlight the sores on his chest just to kind of emphasize where he has these grotesque sores, because I went in on the maggots on his stomach, which is a vile saying, and I added more shade into those to make them look bloody. So I'd probably do that with the rest of the wounds as well, just to kind of really emphasize those and make them look a little bit gross. And I'd probably even maybe add some drip down those as well to kind of look like they're oozing.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do differently. And I think I would go in with a finer brush, because even though I like the highlights, I'd go in with a slightly finer brush just to kind of make them look a little bit sharper.
Yeah, happy. So now I've seen your model. Now it's time for you to see my model. And it's not a euphemism.
The grand unveiling of Mr. Nerd's model.
Because you've got the baby in your hand. Oh.
Well, thank you. Wow. Already the base looks absolutely amazing. What did you use for that?
Magic.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I absolutely love what you've done with the shield. How you've gone really rusty. Not rusty, oxidized with it. Corroded. That's what I was looking for. Corroded.
Tarnished,
yeah. And I also love the red on his loincloth, I guess.
Yeah, it's on his loincloth, yeah.
Yeah, on his loincloth / scrap of fabric, whatever's left of it. I love the red. Just kind of really adds something different to the model, instead of just being like in browns and greens. But I do love how you've gone in with a really, really vibrant green for your highlights. I think that looks really, really cool. Only thing I would say is the green on his skin looks great. I would add a little bit of brightness there, just because you've got all this brightness kind of going off everywhere else underneath him and on his armor. I would just add maybe a slightly lighter green there, just to kind of emphasize certain areas. So like the man boobs, emphasize those a little bit, and wherever he's got his rolls, emphasize those a little bit more, just to make them stand out a little bit, to kind of draw attention to the more gross parts of him.
That is a fair point. He does look a bit anemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he looks a bit green in the gills.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun there. But just to kind of add a little bit of dimension to him, because you've highlighted everything else amazingly. It's just, I would just add a little bit of highlight to the skin. So both of us need to do a little bit more to the skin, I would say. But the base looks fantastic. How you've built it up and done the little like pooling of toxic sludge. What are we calling that? Toxic waste? I don't know. I also love what you've done with the severed heads on his back and the highlights on the actual stand on his back are really, really nice. They're very clean. I would also just highlight the ropes as well, a little bit, just because they kind of blend in with the stand, just to kind of make them stand out a little bit more. So that's the only thing, which would be highlights on the stand and highlights on the skin. Those are the only things I would change, because the rest of it is amazing. Really, really cool. I love the highlights you've done on the loincloth. I love the vibrant green on his armour. I absolutely love what you've done with the hammer. The gold you used is fantastic. And I love the way you've tarnished the shield.
What would I do differently though?
What would you do differently?
I couldn't find a hand to put coming out of the toxic sludge. So I wanted to do like a Terminator thumbs up hand coming out of the sludge, but I couldn't find one.
That's actually a really cool idea.
I did only have 6 hours to do this.
I did not count how many hours it took me to do mine. So the answer is a lot.
I did 3 hours on the model, 3 hours on the base.
Yep.
So what I would do differently would be, like you said, the skin. Yeah, I get that. I'm not too happy with how his horns have turned out on his helmet. I really messed up the highlighting on one of the horns. On his right hand horn, left as you look at the model. But I
think they look great personally.
But I'm happy with the shield. I'm happy with everything. This is the first time I've used the technical paint. This is actually the first model I've finished from start to finish.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Because I've not done any highlights on a lot of my other models.
You haven't done. You either get to the point where you do the base and you do the basic and the layer, and you just don't do the highlights, or you just do a base sometimes, and it takes you so much time. He's like, okay, I'm done now. I'm bored of this figure. I'm moving to something else.
I got inspiration of his armor from your Dark Angels.
Really?
I used Caliban green and some other highlights just to do up the edges.
Was it Warpstone Glow?
It may have been Warpstone Glow.
Yeah, I think anything to do with any Nurgle or Dark Angel, Warpstone Glow, it's just perfect. It adds a lot of brightness without looking too drastic, if that makes sense. But they're two very, very different interpretations of the exact same figure. And
but they both look cool.
They both look really cool.
And they've both been done very well. So I'm looking forward to whatever the next challenge will be.
Yeah.
I've completely forgot to angle the shield as well. So I think angling the shield would be better rather than it just being straight up. But anyway, besides the point. That concludes us looking at the miniatures and our review of the competition. Let us know who you think did a better job down in the description and the comments down below.
Yep.
Just let us know.
Yeah.
We're open to any form of suggestions, any feedback. We got quite thick skin.
We do.
At the end of the day,
yeah.
We just want to have a laugh.
Oh yeah.
And on having a laugh. So this is obviously our anniversary video. We've been doing this for a year, or just over a year now. We've been collecting the Warhammer as a hobby for a year now. So this is all very new to us.
Yeah.
So
we're still noobs.
Exactly. So where do we want the channel to go? So we look at making the channel into more of a community. So we want to kind of bring you guys along with us.
Yeah.
So we have a Discord down below in the description. If you want to join the community, you're more than welcome to join. With that, we want to try and push out to other content creators with competitions. So I've reached out to a couple people we've spoken to a couple times about doing competitions. Essentially exactly the same thing we've done here, to try and grow the community, to bring people with us as we continue to grow as a big nerdy family in a way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we want the channel to go. We want to continue to talk to you guys. Any suggestions, any feedback, we're more than happy to take, because we want to be just a big family, nerdy family in a way.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where we want to bring
It's exactly the direction we want to take the channel in, to kind of create a community, a family kind of environment, instead of just a YouTuber and follower environment. We want to make it more inclusive, and we want to celebrate other content creators and also celebrate ourselves. We want to show other people's art and celebrate that. So by doing these competitions, not only we are having fun doing it, we're also giving other people the opportunity to shine and show their work, and also allows us to learn from our community, to kind of lead from their advice in a way.
So before we move on to how we painted these models in the tutorial, I do have two things to quickly throw out there. One is commissions. We are doing commissions. They're completely free, except postage packaging.
Yep.
So we are happy to paint your miniatures for free, the models for free. If you want to send them to us, there is a email address down in the description down below. We'll paint them. We just need you to pay for postage packaging, so it doesn't come out of our pocket. We don't mind doing paints, we don't mind building up bases like this. We don't mind. Just tell us.
Just let us know how you want it to be done. Send us the model. We'll paint it however you like, and then we'll send it back to you, and you guys just have to pay for postage and packaging.
So the final part is that I'm going to be trying to find my own niche in this channel, and that's going to be doing random challenges or random ideas. So being very random, within the next month or so, we'll be slowly introducing videos where we are doing a randomizer of a model. So we will pick up a random model in our collection that we're probably not going to use on a board or in a game because they're going to be destroyed.
Unless it turns out really cool.
Unless it turns out really cool, we can make a paint scheme out of it.
Yeah.
And we're going to grab a model and we're going to grab all of the paints we have, because we have loads of paints just here on the left hand side, shoot just slightly off screen.
Yeah.
We're going to do a randomizer with all the colours. So you've got all your base colours of metal, flesh, leather, X, Y, Z. Those are all very important parts of the model, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll just grab all these random colours and you just turn them out. It's like, I don't know, leather could be green for some reason, or flesh could be red. So we'll just do a randomizer just to see how it turns out and see what I can do with a model. Which
Interesting
is
to see a Middle-earth character
random.
with red skin.
Exactly.
That would be interesting.
Imagine Gandalf. Red Gandalf.
A cave troll. A red cave troll, maybe.
That's what I wanted to add to the channel going forward, which would be pretty cool. Any suggestions of what models you want to see randomised, just let me know.
Now we're going to go into the tutorial section. Let us know in the comments down below which style you preferred.
So do you prefer the long form tutorial videos, or do you prefer the short...
Citadel app style.
Exactly, the short, sharp, sweet 2 minutes of what paint goes where and what highlights you put on top of that.
Yeah.
Really easy to read, really easy to see, really easy to watch.
Yeah.
So just let us know how that goes and enjoy the tutorials.
So now we are officially in the tutorial section of our video, so if you want to see how I painted my figure, then just keep on watching. To begin, I sprayed the figure using Chaos Black, and then I started on the flesh. For this, I used Kislev flesh and Rakar flesh, just to create a nice greyish tan colour. Now moving on to the maggots in his stomach, I use Bugman Glow for this, just to create a fleshy tone. For his armour, I did a base of lead belcher, but this is just the base of multiple layers. Next, using Rakar flesh, I painted in the tiny skeletal fragment that you can see in his back, before moving on to his armour. For this, I used Warp Block Bronze. I also used this to paint his hammer. For that skeletal fragment, I used the contrast paint Skeleton Horde just to make it more bone-like. And once that was done, I moved on to Blood Reaver flesh and I began to paint his loincloth. Using Plaguebearer flesh, I then went over with the first coat on his armour, just to create that Nurgle green look. This guy has a tiny little tail, so just to paint that in, I used Slanesh Grey, just for a little bit of a breaking colour. Moving back onto Warplock Bronze, I'd painted any decals that the armour have. Now, using a sponge and Leadbelcher and Stormhost Silver, I then blotted onto the figure various layers of colour. I then went back over the top with Plaguebearer's Flesh, just to create a slightly distressed look and make it look like the armour had some battle damage to it. Next, moving on to the shading, so using Carabao Crimson and Druchii Violet, I then painted all over the flesh, just to create a more sore and kind of oozy look to the skin that is very Nurgle-like, and something I've been using many times as of right now. Every time I do Nurgle, I do this colour combination. Next, using Agrak's Earthshade, I then painted this over the armour just to create a dirty, worn look. Next, it was time to distress, so using Nihilate Oxide, I went over the bronze elements like his hammer, his dagger, and a few of the other elements on his outfit, just to add some oxidization and tarnishing. Next, to add some rust, I used Mournfang Brown, specifically Air Mournfang Brown, and I watered it down with a bit of water, and I applied this into various places, just to create a little bit of a worn rust look. Going back in with Stormhost Silver, I then began to do my highlights, touching the edges and the high points of the suit of armour, just because I wanted a metallic highlight rather than just a green highlight. Next, using Pallid Witch Flesh, I went in and did the exact same thing, adding highlights to the skin. Using Hashut Copper, I then went in and highlighted any of the bronze elements, just to create a slightly brighter, more orangey look. Now, moving on to his base, I started with a base layer of technical Stirland mud and built this up to be quite layered just to add a bit of volume. Next, I moved on to his shield. For this, I used Warplock Bronze just to fill it in and keep it uniform with the rest of the figure. I couldn't actually paint the back piece on camera because the camera was losing focus, but for this I simply used Mournfang Brown and some Rakarth Flesh for the heads. For the balls on the shield, I went in with Moot Green just because I think it's the perfect Nurgle colour. Using Abaddon Black, I then dry brushed this over the shield just to remove the overly shiny effect, as I wanted it to look a little bit muddy and tarnished. Using technical paint Tesseract Glow, and then went over the balls on it just to kind of create a more glowy effect. Then using Nihilate Oxide, I went in and added a little bit more tarnishing by oxidizing the shield. Around the outer edges and on the spikes of the shield, I went in with Hashut Copper, both as a highlight and also just to add a little bit of a colour shift. Moving back onto the base, I used Baneblade Brown on a dry brush first, just to kind of add a little bit of dimension in colour. Next I went in with Gortha Brown and did the exact same thing, just to create layers of different shades of brown, just to build it up. And then finally over the top I went in with Rakarth Flesh, just to create a very light base before I went in with my shade paint. And for this I used Agrax Earthshade. As you can see, I've now attached the back piece, and for this I just finished it off with some Agrax Earthshade as well, just to create a more muddy look. And that is it. That is my figure all completed. I hope you've enjoyed this little section. I'll add obviously some beautiful glamour shots right here at the end before we move on to Mr. Nerd's tutorial. His tutorial is going to be our Citadel app style, where it's going to be short, sweet, to the point. Let us know in the comments down below which version you prefer. Anyway, let's get into Mr. Nerd's tutorial. Now move on to Mr. Nerd's tutorial. Of course, I am not Mr. Nerd. Mr. Nerd did all the painting on this figure, but I'm here to do the recording. For this, you will see a very simple layout in the Citadel app style, where I'll talk about each section and the exact paints used and where. Very straightforward, to the point, and let's just get into the video. Starting with the flesh of the figure, Mr. Nerd went with a base paint of Xandri Dust. Once that was dry, he went with the shade paint Antonian Camo Shade, and for highlights, he used Elysian Green. Next, moving on to the Rotten Flesh and Maggot section. He used 4 paints in total for this. For the base of the maggots, he used the base paint Rakarth Flesh. For going in with the shade paints Druchii Violet and Carroburg Crimson. For highlights, he used Flayed One Flesh. For his loincloth, Mr. Nerd went in with the base paint Corn Red. For going in with the shade paint Carroburg Crimson and the highlight shade of Wazadaka Red. For the metal elements, he used Lead Belcher as a base, for going in with the shade paint Nuln Oil, and following up with the shade paint Agrax Earthshade and the highlight layer shade Ironbreaker. For his armour, he started with the base shade of Caliban Green, before going over the top with Nuln Oil, and highlighting the decals and edges using Warpstone Glow. For the shield and other bronze elements on the figure, he started off with Balthazar Gold, a base paint, for highlighting with Sycorax Bronze. He then went in with 2 technical paints, the first one being Nihilate Oxide to add oxidization to the brass areas, and went in with Tesseract Glow just to create a slightly eerie glowing green effect. And finally, for the ropes and wood, he went in with Dried Bark, for going over the top with the shade paint Agrax Earthshade, and then highlighting edges using Gortha Brown. If you want a specific tutorial on this base, because as you can see it's pretty amazing, then let us know in the comments down below and we will do that for you. Anyway, that's it. Nice and simple. Very short, sweet, to the point, just like I said. So, let me know in the comments down below which version you prefer. That brings us finally to the end of today's video. I know it was a long one, but we really do appreciate if you stayed with us to the very end. Down in the description you'll find multiple links. The first to our Discord channel. Please feel free to join our Discord family. It's a very small community, slowly growing, and we have a lot of fun over there. Next you'll find a link to my channel, where if you enjoy lore on topics like Warhammer and Lord of the Rings, then you'll love it over there. And of course, if you enjoy MMOs and action RPGs, then please feel free to have a look at Mr. Nerd's channel. Anyway, that'll be it from me today. Wonderful day, or night, wherever you are in the world. And as always, peace out, guys.